Hello, hello. How are you? Welcome back to Life Trials by EAC with yours truly, Elizabeth. How are you guys doing today? I hope everybody's doing well. So, today I wanted to do something a little different. Kind of wanted to do the daily news of today, I guess the news of the day. However, I will plan on making that a little bit more precise, but kind of wanted to do something a little different. I'm not interviewing anybody today. It's just me, myself, and I. And today, I just really wanted to talk about the fucking news of today that's just swirling all over the internet and it's just all over the place. And this is with respects to politics, more in the sense of what's going on in Texas right now. As everybody well knows, there's an extreme winter storm going on in Texas right now. They lost a lot of power due to their solar and windmill debacle, whatever. And this is what happens when you think that, this whole new Green Deal situation with respects to renewable energies and all that stuff, and thinking that we will be able to survive off of wind and solar is just a preposterous proposal to make. So I just think that is a facade and frivolous on its face because we still need coal, we still need gas and oil, no matter how much everybody hates it. Let me tell y'all something. I drive a car that is a gas guzzler and I fucking love it. And whenever I see a Tesla, it's just a sense of embarrassment, but whatever. They're still beautiful cars, very expensive, but I just don't like that concept of charging. That's not a vehicle and that doesn't give you that horsepower. So that has nothing to do with today's news of the day. So I kind of just wanted to assess what it is that Ted Cruz did, what he's being accused of, and how he's going to move forward from this just because of the optics of the situation. So Ted Cruz is a senator from Texas, and his family and his daughters were at home for some time and they didn't have any power, water, whatever. So then they all of a sudden decided to go to Cancun. And from the news reports, it seems that some people are stating that this was a planned event where he was planning on actually going and staying. But then there's other reports that are providing information that he was just taking his daughters and wife to Mexico and then coming back and then dealing with obviously the situation in Texas. But that one, the latter, seemed a little bit more of a cover up and kind of I don't know what the fuck he was trying to do there. But that was a fairly big fallout that he had. And, everybody knows that I'm obviously a conservative. And I've actually met Ted Cruz. I've had dinner with him before. I've gone to a few donor party events that he's been at, had a lot of very insightful conversations. He's an extremely intellectual man. He is extremely well versed in the sense of what he knows in the political arena, and he really loves his country. He's a true patriot. He's a true Texas fucking man. And to be honest, I really didn't like seeing all these reports about him and them demonizing him and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, he is a good man. He has good intentions and stuff like that. It's just the optics, obviously, of the situation is just abhorrent on its face. So I just kind of wanted to go over what I had seen with respects to the reports. So this is where you can kind of get that sense that there's just such a big bias in the mainstream media. So the first news report I obviously wanted to bring up was the New York Times, which is just a very biased, news reporting company, and how much controversy they just love putting out there. And they really have no sense of sourcing. Everything is anonymous. Imagine, I couldn't have imagined at all being in business school and providing throughout the 2.5 years of my master's degree anonymous sourcing. And I don't think I would have ever passed, but whatever. I guess you could just say something about somebody and then that's a fact and they run with it. And it's pretty sad that they love to advocate that they're in pursuance of this disinformation campaign, that they're trying to stop all of that, but they're the actual outlet of such disinformation. So their the headline for this is for their little assessment of the Ted Cruz, Cancun trip. It says here, Ted Cruz Cancun trip, family text detail his political blunder. The Texas senator faced fear blowback for fleeing his state as a disaster unfolded. Text messages sent by his wife revealed a hastily planned trip away from their freezing family home. Like millions of his constituents across Texas, Senator Ted Cruz had a frigid home without electricity this week amid the state's power crisis. But unlike most, Mr. Cruz got out, fleeing Houston and hopping on a plane on Wednesday afternoon to Cancun with his family to a luxury resort. So in this specific article, they just really, they destroy the guy. And it's just so hypocritical in the sense that coming from the New York Times, I don't know how they have not looked to their own governor and wrote some reports about what the fuck is going on over there, because they're in cahoots with the administration with respects to the governor of New York. And they have allowed for this person to cover up their misdeeds, and the fact that they covered up the I guess number of deaths related to the COVID-19 and nursing home deaths, and the amount of people that died. They covered it up. And it's just interesting how the New York Times doesn't do such a, they don't really do their due diligence with respects to assuring that they get the real sourcing for those type of stories. Obviously, if you don't align with their political beliefs, forget it. So I just feel that these specific information sources, like the New York Times, is probably not the best source for me to provide to my audience, because I know the demographic of people that I serve, or at least the people that enjoy listening to my podcast, are very neutral, unbiased people. I believe I have a lot of good people who follow me and that are true neutral individuals and understand that the media and the way that they cover our political elites is just extremely biased. And I think it sucks because Ted Cruz is a good senator. He was reelected after he dropped out of the, presidential race back in 2016, and he's done a lot of amazing work for the state of Texas. So it saddens me that they just, at any moment that they can diminish the value of a conservative, whether it's a political commentator or it's an actual legislator, they do it at any means, at whatever cost. The next article I'm going to assess is from CNN, which is just probably worse than the New York Times. So their headline is, while Cruz was traveling from Cancun, Beto O'Rourke and AOC helped Texans in crisis. God, AOC, bro. So just to read a little bit, what they wrote was, while Senator said Cruz was dealing with the fallout from his trip to Cancun, two of his Democratic political, I don't even know what that word says, I'll say rivals, Beto O'Rourke and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I love how Tucker Carlson always says her real legal name, because she actually changed her first name and her first name was Sandy Ocasio-Cortez. I'm not sure why she changed that. I mean, I would probably fucking hate my name being Sandy too, but whatever. So Ocasio-Cortez, a Democratic congresswoman from New York, who has frequently sparred with Cruz, launched a fundraiser on Twitter and raised $1 million by Thursday evening. Wow. Quote, wow, we officially raised $1 million for Texas relief at 9:17 p.m., she tweeted. Thank you all so much. Folded hands. I'm at a loss for words. Always in awe of movement work. The fuck? And then supposedly by today, they had $2 million to provide to the people of Texas, right? So, however, this is interesting because now it's actually funny how these Democratic, Congress people, whether they're senators or House of Representatives, it's always where can they benefit? What moment can they seize on to then benefit and maximize such benefits, right? So AOC, out of all people, she should be worried about her state, New York, and why hasn't she helped out the businesses and the families and the schools and the people of New York instead of trying to make a name for herself and just stirring up more drama? I don't understand. Like, girlfriend, you have so many issues with, your own state. The state is a joke. It's like people are flocking the state to come to Florida. Es Florida. Okay? Es South Florida. So, Florida. Me and my Cuban accent, okay? So, I just don't understand how you have these House of Representatives that cannot even, engage in such assistance within their own state, but want to make just, a name for themselves somewhere else just to prove a point. I think it's very juvenile of her to do that instead of just trying to, find some middle ground and just, simply do her thing, be a representative of your constituents in your state and do something over there. But she's like raising money for Texas. Bitch, what about the people of New York? What about the fucking businesses of New York? Are you going to do anything about that, bro? Like, I can't wait to see that one, So this one was a funny article to read. How AOC is like, oh, it's like almost like Groundhog Day and shit. Like the bitch just comes out, oh, I'm here to help. I'm here to do something and just make a name for myself because I'm an idiot. Okay, cool. The next article I found was from Political, and their headline is How a Disaster Vacation Could Take Down Ted Cruz. I am literally trying to find where they have an article that equates to this same situation with respects to Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, who covered up the COVID-19 nursing home deaths. And I have not been able to find it, but that's the mainstream media today. So let's just read a little bit as to what they put. So as Senator Ted Cruz endured the torments of public scorn on Thursday, ousted by fellow passengers on his way to a warm Cancun vacation, as millions of fellow Texans suffered from freezing temperatures and a catastrophic electricity failure, I had a sudden uncomfortable feeling in the pit of my stomach there, but for the grace of God, or I go, or at least someone I used to work for. It was Sunday, February 9, 1969. The New York mayor, John Lindsay, was in the middle of a tough fight for re-election. I was working as his speechwriter at that time. So I'm assuming that this specific journalist is kind of giving us a narrative. So once again, here we go with that. Like, they need to build up some story, some type of, grandiose entrance to then drop the bomb on these people or their situation that they're trying to discuss objectively. But once again, it's always this sense of interjecting their own emotions, their own personal beliefs, their own personal vendettas against the individual instead of just providing the news. So, for instance, my podcast is not a source of information. Like, you will not come to me to find out things. What I do more. My podcast is based more on commentary and more of an assessment of issues, topics, subjects, people, situations, circumstances, et cetera, et cetera. What I don't understand about these outlets, these the mainstream media outlets here, like Political, the New York Times, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they're actual sources of information that they provide to the general public. And they obviously have their different sectors, whether it's, opinionated or it's just straight news. But from what I've seen over the last 5 years, everything is unfortunately, the lines are blurred. So you don't really know, as you can tell right here. I'm not even going to go into the reading this whole insane facade of a story here that he's trying to work up to then, I guess, equate that to what's going on right now with Ted Cruz. So there's about at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He writes 6 paragraphs in Political providing that narrative, like just sitting there and, working up that story. And then by the 7th paragraph, he then starts to discuss the news of the day. So it's really hard to even be able to take these journalists, these news outlets seriously. I just don't understand. It's weird because, it's just such a sense of unfiltered bias. I mean, it's just so obvious, and that sucks. And I think that Ted Cruz fucked up big time by, doing this. He should have just let his family go and he should have stayed. But we all know that he was going to go to enjoy his time. But then, obviously he got caught. So he was like, okay, I got to go back. I got to go back home to Texas because then if people find out, crazy. Yeah, buddy, you kind of picked the wrong time to do this. I love you and everything, but you fucked up. So that is the news of the day. I don't know how I did. I probably did really bad, but I have a lot to work on, as you guys can tell. I love you guys. Thank you so much again for tuning in to Live Trials by AAC with yours truly. I'm going to get a lot better at this and going to have experts coming on the show. And I actually have some really, really cool episodes lined up in the next few days. So stay tuned for that. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning into this craziness.